Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Taking a look here again at Solana, see what's going on. It's important that we talk a little bit about this chart. I know it seems kind of messy and weird. Obviously, there's a lot of little factors here, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this Elliott wave pattern first, discuss the bear flag breakdown, and a few other things. Basically, Solana's moving the way that it should. Bitcoin keeps giving us some false positives. Solana's moving down with it, so there's definitely a correlation there. But let's discuss this Elliott wave here first, really quick, just to give you perspective. We completed our expansive wave, and we're looking for a pullback, right, to our 0.382, 0.5, 0.6, and 8 fib levels. So generally, the best way to interpret this is to pull up fibs accordingly. So we're just going to pull up our fib levels for this here and recognize this 0.382, 185. That's been a common denominator in a lot of ways, is more than likely the area of retracement, okay? In other words, let's go ahead and pull this out. We are probably likely to see somewhere in the $185 to $200 range if Bitcoin continues to perform the way that it has or continues to. Right now, I think $200 is a good solid consideration, of course, but generally speaking, 0.382 is the most common pivot point for Elliott wave. Secondary to that would be, of course, 0.5 at 172. The key takeaway is that we need to be above the 1, okay? So as long as this next pullback is above the 1 here, basically, invalidating the pattern at about 165, staying above 165 would effectively do that for us, okay? So anyways, just kind of throwing it out there. That's generally how you're supposed to interpret Elliott wave. While I'm not like a professional with Elliott wave, those are the basics. I don't do all that extra, zone, phase, all that garbage, because I really just think that it's a very unilateral way of looking at the charts, and there's a lot more to the charts than just fib levels, really. So just keep that in mind. Fibs are very important, don't get me wrong, but they're not the only way to trade, okay? And if you're only trading on that and you have a low success rate, maybe you should jump on over to our our channel, cryptocash.tech. I've got a lot of good, solid trades that we're taking here. Currently, we're break even on our Bitcoin short. We are in profit on our AVAX short, and ETH almost hit our target just again here. So it's definitely some solid profits there for our trades, but the truth is it's a funky market, folks. There's no other way around it. But the other truth is the fact that the price of Bitcoin is pulling back. It's starting to diminish in volume. We're starting to see more selling pressure. I think we're hitting our tentative top, and it would make sense we see a little bit more of a leg down before Bitcoin takes off again. So those are just my thoughts. I hope I'm wrong. The price keeps going up, but generally speaking, that's just what the charts are telling us. Okay, so I'm positive at this point that until we break our range, either to the upside or downside, we're going to be going sideways for a little while. And that's again between 86.5 and 91K for Bitcoin. Now, how does that reflect for Solana? And why do I talk about Bitcoin all the time in my Solana videos? Well, the main reason why is because these two coins are fairly well paired together, or sometimes they're not. Right now, I feel like this most recent movement is very similar and synonymous, and we got to recognize that. If Bitcoin does pull back, which it seems like it might, it has a slightly larger propensity to pull back than it does to go increase, then Solana would do the same. Now we're in that sweet spot right now. The $200 to $210 range is definitely a good area of interest for the next leg up consideration here for Solana. It isn't a guarantee it's going to pull back to 185. That's just a common retracement level. The initial retracement level is 200, right? So we got 200 and 185. These are very common numbers. You can see them working as previous resistances here and here, and the likelihood of those two areas being strong support levels is high. So me, if in a perfect world, I'd take a long at 200, I'd take a long at 185. That's how I feel right now. Can that change between now and then? Of course it can. Anyways, liquidation levels, let's take a quick look. We got a chunk of liquidation just below 200. So it would make perfect sense for the price to wick down to 198 just to screw over a bunch of high leverage long positions. Okay, that's generally how that works. That's what liquidation is for, just to kind of let us know generally, where everyone is hedged for the most part. And commonly you're going to see the most amount of support below a local high or a local low. And that's why we see a pretty big accumulation just below here, because some people took high leverage longs at 200, and oddly enough, their position is still open. Okay, so I don't know how that works or why people do that, but they must not realize that the longer they hold their leverage positions open, the more in fees they're going to be paying too. It's just hilarious to me that people will hold on for almost forever with a leverage trade and think that they're the bee's knees posting 1,000x return when truth is they're getting very little from it. So it's just ridiculous. Anyways, our short liquidation delta is higher than long, so basically telling us we have more shorts in Solana than longs, which is sensible. It does make sense considering the overall circumstance because Solana is overextended too. But me personally, I don't feel like shorting Solana is appropriate at this exact moment. While we did short Solana quite well earlier in the week, we secured some good 30% profit in like a 10-hour period. I'm not really interested in trading it to the downside right now, even though I do still feel it's going to pull back, right? So again, there's a lot of little factors there. Either way, a lot of it hinges on how Bitcoin holds its support range. Is it going to hold 86.5? Is it going to break 90,000? It keeps trying to figure out what it wants to do, and it's not doing it yet. Anyways, we can see a heavy amount of open interest here, essentially at about 215. That's the heaviest concentration. So most people are underwater right now, having taken longs recently at 215. Which makes sense as to why they took a long, but again, we had that bear flag that I discussed yesterday, and it's just not really ideal conditions to want to trade. Okay, as far as trading with confirmation is concerned, we're slowly losing this range, and it's just not good. So if you look at the daily time frame here, before we move on, we can see 1, 2, 3, basically 3 days in the range here of about 210 to 212 as far as the lowest close. So far, yesterday we closed at 209. And today we're at a doji candle. So this isn't really like favorable conditions. And of course, if you saw my playout chart, the consensus is that we have to close over this 220 mark in order for the price to continue higher, right? So again, that's why you don't just buy candle wicks. You wait for daily candlestick closures before you take a trade, because a lot of folks took a 215 to 220 long and they're in the red right now, okay? So once more patience, folks, it pays off. You're gonna miss plenty of opportunities though, but you're better off waiting to get an opportunity that never happens versus jumping into a bad one, okay? So please understand that it is important to be moderately patient in this environment. If you're not a patient trader, do yourself a favor, at least offset with low leverage or low position size. So that way, you got hundreds of trades open, you're at least, not destroying your account by 50% portfolio. It is amazing to me how many people use majority of their entire portfolio for one trade. That is outrageous. That is stupid. You want to use no more than 5%, and that's even a lot. No more than 5% per trade when you take trades, right? Anyways, that's kind of where I'm at, and it's good because if you use the same amount every single time, you're going to be able to be comfortable with winning or losing the same amount every time too, right? If your losses are huge one day and low the next, you're doing it wrong. It needs to be consistent with wins or losses. Anyways, we take a look here at the daily time frame. We can see we're under 70 on the RSI, generally letting us know we're back to normal-ish, right? We're still bullish, still overall sentiment is great. There's no other way around it. There's nothing here letting us know that we're diverging bearishly, okay? We are just starting to see that stochastic's been pulling back for a few days. MACD is starting to top out. There's reasons why the price shouldn't go up moving forward for a little while, okay? And again, I say a little while because I feel like Bitcoin's going to pull back a little bit further before it legs up again. That's just my personal thoughts, because on smaller time frame, it's diverging fairly well, right? There's a reason why the short trades that we've been taking have been consistently profitable, mainly because we're waiting for confirmation. Now, granted, Bitcoin keeps running towards 90K, and if Bitcoin can break 90,000 or higher, there's a solid chance we see further upside. So we're in this weird transition right now. So me personally, it doesn't make any sense to just take a long or a short at this time, at least with Solana, because Solana is, again, providing very similar time frames. In other words, let's look at this here. Just quickly, perspective here. 15-minute time frame is usually the best way to identify correlations between Bitcoin and the coin you're trading. We see this kind of choppy pattern. It almost looks like a head and shoulders, right? Price action is coming up and should continue lower. However, we look at Bitcoin, it's kind of all over the place, but Bitcoin's establishing lower highs and lower lows quite consistently, and Solana is establishing slightly higher highs here. So that does tell us that Solana is performing a little bit better than Bitcoin to the upside, but it's also pulling back with it too. So again, what you want to look for is coins like this that just don't give a crap, and they continue to establish higher highs regardless of how well or poorly Bitcoin's doing, okay? So Solana's not there yet. So just throwing it out there. It's no discredit to this coin. It's just an observation, and that's how you look at the charts, right? You look at it abstractly without bias. So let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame. Recognize that, again, we got some fair value gaps down as low as 170, 185. I do personally feel like 185 is the initial low. If we come that low, that would be an excellent place to consider a long, such as 200 as well. I think 200 is a good solid consideration. Again, pending Bitcoin doesn't make a run towards 85K or lower. When we take a look here, we can see we're right here at 50 in the RSI. This is basically a no buy zone. When it cannot quite seem to figure out if it wants to be on the upside or downside, you generally don't want to buy into that. Money flow index is above its MACD is trying to converge but hasn't yet. So the 4-hour time frame is like not really sure what it wants to do. Okay, when it's not sure what it wants to do, you certainly should be sure of what you don't want to do, which is take a trade. Okay, so make sure that you are not just arbitrarily jumping in because you feel a bit of FOMO. I can promise you, folks, at this point, there's not a lot of reasons to take longs. We're kind of at the tentative top. I know a lot of altcoins are exploding in weird little ways and stuff, but unless you're trading meme coins or Cardano on XRP, there's no real reason to take any longs right now. All right, so take a look here, of course, at the hourly. Just to quickly clarify here, we are still below the cloud. Once we broke below that last night, as I mentioned, we broke free from that bear flag. The flag was basically in this direction here. We retested that upper lead and rejected off of it. So Bitcoin did the same thing. If you look at Bitcoin here, you'll see we're in this position right now where we're waiting for confirmation, but we keep retesting this descending trend. Again, the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break. So Bitcoin could absolutely break bullish here soon. But until it does, we got to presume it's not going to, right? That's generally how it works. Same thing here with Solana. We're under the cloud. Lagging span is kind of within the price action, and the conversion line and the baseline are intersecting. So that's only 1 out of 3 reasons to feel confident in taking a short, and 0 out of 3 reasons to feel confident taking a long. Okay, so again, if you've heard anything from this video, please hear this. Do not trade Solana for the moment until it either breaks above 215 and holds above, that's just a general round number, or Bitcoin can maintain 90,000 or higher for the next 24 hours. Okay, I know it's tough and difficult to pump the brakes and not trade, but it's just really the responsible and the right thing to do. At least it's my fiduciary requirement to impart best practice on you so that way you can make an informed decision, okay? Or at least a better decision. And honestly, the best trade you can take in most cases is not taking a trade. You got to realize, folks, when you analyze the charts, 95% of what you're doing is convincing yourself not to take a trade, right? There should only be like perfect situations like, okay, I'm going to go long now. I'm going to take a short. Don't trade those indifferences. Anyways, all right, that's all we got here. I'll post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, or Discord. I hope this was beneficial for you. Don't forget to take advantage of our exclusive progressive prize pool through Bitunix, phenomenal exchange. Highly recommend them. And then obviously as well, jump on over to our Discord, Twitter, Telegram, and feel free to check out our playout charts. I'll post one here shortly. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.